So the energy shift update for tonight is to tell you that the energies that are shifting on the planet right now and the way that the planets are aligning, it's really asking us to look at some pretty intense things within ourselves, some choices that we're making, some choices that we're not making. And that might sound a little confusing. And if you're on Instagram or Facebook Live or watching this later on the YouTube broadcast, I put, or please forgive me, I don't know what kind of a desert dog it is, but it's going around with all its hair sticking up. Kind of like when the boys used to take dippity-doo and stick the hair straight up, you know, and the comment is something to the effect of, they said, you know, to touch the electric fence, they said it would be fun, you know, and so here goes, zzz, you know. And quite a few of my empaths and my highly sensitive people are feeling like that. I'm getting calls and instant messages. People are just feeling that way. And that's true because the spiritual consciousness that we have has been brought up to the next level. We have had such a beautiful divine space opened for us to be a part of. God, Spirit, or Source is progressing humanity, or womananity, if you prefer. Tuesday night joke. But it's progressing the human experience combined with the spiritual experience very quickly, and it has been for years. And it seems like we're always working on something, and there's hardly ever a break. But what's happening now is God, Spirit, or Source is nudging us forward and nudging us to our next step, our next bit of destiny, if you will. And it is so beautiful if you'll allow it. But what's happening is so many of us are not desiring to move forward and to move forward at the same time. It's one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake, and you just can't really drive like that. And that's why people are feeling wiggy and stressed out. And they may not know it. They may not understand that that's what's happening. So if you've been feeling like that little dog character that I put in the feed, if you've seen it, like, you know, they said it would be okay if I touched the electric fence and now, and you feel like, you know, you've been guided to try something new and you've tried it and you feel like it's backfired on you at any level, would you give me some hearts, some thumbs up, something, just to let me know that you're feeling that way also, and it's not just a select few of us? See, it's a little bit delayed, so I'll wait a few minutes. But that's where we are on the planet right now. So there's part of the energy that's really pulling things away from us that aren't good, and it's really pushing forward things for us that are good, and we see that. And we want to take that step forward, and we're like, yes, that's what I want. Give it to me. But we're not willing to let go of whatever we've had before. There comes the hearts and the thumbs up. Instagram, can you send me a few hearts and let me know that you're on that same page? But it's hard to change, okay? Just flat out. The human mind does not like change. We talked about it thank you. We talked about it a little bit last time. So if you're on YouTube and you can go back to last week's recording, we talked about it. But in brief, what's happening is that our brain, when we're very little, it's designed to pick up whatever's around us as normal. And it creates, the ego begins to take shape, and it creates a safe space for within which us to work. The Bible says, teach a child the way it should go and he won't stray from it. That's pretty much neuroplasticity in a nutshell, biblically speaking. And so when we get older and we desire change, even if it's good for us, even if it's like right now in just burying my soul a little bit, I've gained more weight than I've ever weighed in my life, and I have no desire to carry this weight around. but part of it is just my age dynamic, it's hormones, it's the thyroid, it's this, it's that, it's stuffing food in my mouth when I don't need to. All of those things, and the body stores the energy in the form of fat and fat stores. And why it does that when we get older, I still don't know. I'm sure somebody will be sending me an email telling me all the biological reasons for it. But the only way I know how to release the energy that my body is storing is by moving my body, regulating what I put in here, and then moving my body and not being sedentary. And between that and balancing the thyroid and other things, energies, it's all cohesive, and it will allow the body to feel safe enough to begin to release the weight. And that will, cause the body to be shaped differently. So in my example of that, you may be able to find yourself, but you also may be able to find yourself in what emotional weight you're carrying. What energy weight from other people are you carrying within yourself that really doesn't belong to you? So I'd like for you to think about that. And whatever that is that you're carrying that doesn't belong to you, these energy shifts are so super dynamic right now that they are literally telling you it's time to make a change and to quit carrying other people's crap. So yes, you and I are part of the divine whole. But just because you're part of the divine whole doesn't mean you have to carry the weight of all of the divine whole. Everybody gets to carry their own stuff. Yay for that, right? So the second part of my presentation tonight is to talk to you about being an empath or a highly sensitive person. For those of us that have a special bonus, we get both. And it's just more challenging to work with, but it is a beautiful gift. So the energy shifts are really bringing this forward. And today I was meditating and I was praying and I was asking, God, Spirit, Source, what is it? What's the message that people need to hear right now? What service can I possibly be to them that's greater than any other? And the message was that a lot of empaths and highly sensitive people are feeling a lot of anxiety right now. I know myself, I've suffered in the past from depression, which is the flip side of anxiety. It's like a quarter. What do you want? Heads or tails? They're both the same energy, just different labels. And over the years, I've worked on healing myself from that anxiety feeling, that anxious feeling. And yes, some of it had to do with life experience. Yes, some of it had to do with neuroprogramming. But a lot of it has to do with being empathic or highly sensitive. And I would ask each one of you that are watching, seeing this video, if you know somebody who's empathic or highly sensitive and has a lot of anxiety, please share this with them. I believe that you can share it. I know on Facebook you can press share. I'm not sure on Instagram or Instagram TV how you can share it. But if nothing else, toolsofenergyprotection.com, click on the blog, go to 43019 for the blog number, and you'll be able to find it there. But let's get back to the meat of the message, and that is that we as empaths or highly sensitive people tend to absorb anxiety. We tend to bring it on ourselves, and we tend to process it, and it often hangs around like weight, like my physical weight that's hanging on. And people ask me, quite often, they say, how do you get rid of this? You're dealing with other people's energies. That's what you do for a living. It must be extremely exhausting. How do you rid yourself of it? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight. And the first thing I want to ask you is, do you ever feel paralyzed by other people's energy? Do you feel like you take on so much anxiety And wow, sorry. There's something called the God tone or a high-pitched whine that happens when I'm working with disembodied, or I'm working with spirits and angels, and the higher the pitch, the higher the being. So right now I have full God tone in both of my ears. So that's huge. That tells me this message is big and many people need to hear it. So if you're hearing that ringing in your ears, just know that you're meant to be here. Okay, so the question is, how do I heal my anxiety as an empath and a highly sensitive person who works with energies and people all day long who are stressed out or having challenges? And so I would like for you to ask yourself a question. Do you feel paralyzed by other people's energy? Do you just kind of have that, there's fight, flight, or frozen? And many empaths just feel frozen because they don't know what to do. They've absorbed as much as they can. And here comes somebody who's angry or anxious, and they're like, ugh, I can't take anymore, right? That's feeling paralyzed by someone else's energy. The next question I'd like to ask you is, do you ever feel triggered by something outside of you and not sure what to do with the trigger? And you either retreat and go in your safe space and lock the door, even turn off the phone or put it in airplane mode, or do you lash out? I know as a highly sensitive person, an empath, if I can't take anymore, I'm not able to process what's coming in. I have very little patience left, and I will strike out. And later I'm like, not very centered, not very ascended. But it happens. We're human. So those are trigger points. Those, if somebody triggers you to lash out or to go into hiding, that really has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with you. Because like a gun has a trigger. And if you don't pull the trigger, it doesn't fire, right? The other person is not pulling your trigger. You're pulling your own trigger, and then you're firing off either with fight, flight, or frozen. And so your mind creates that because of what it's experienced in the childhood. It's what it believes. It's programming. So one of the steps to working with being highly sensitive or empathic is to find out what the triggers are and begin to change your thinking. That's the basic bottom line step. That's the introductory level. Changing your thoughts and changing how you perceive things and how you react to things and what you believe. So one of the things the mind often does is it negotiates. If it doesn't want to deal with something, it negotiates, trying to get out of it. So that's something that you can watch for. But let's talk a little bit more about healing the anxiety as an empath or a highly sensitive person. One of the first steps is to realize that that's what's going on. The second step is to realize why it's going on and what triggered you. And the third step is to begin to see the trigger before you pull it and begin to heal that trigger within yourself. So what I did is I created a worksheet that will help to inspire you to track and find these energy triggers that you have, because you may not even be aware of them. They may be just so natural and normal. People that are highly sensitive, people that are empathic, this is our lives. This is natural and normal. And I was reminded last weekend that as a child, I just knew things about situations. I'm like, 6, 7, 8 years old, and I just knew things about people and about situations. And I thought everybody else knew too, but they didn't. So that's why I was strange or weird, or how did you know that, or who told you this, or who told you that? And in fact, nobody told me anything. I just knew it and figured the whole world did too. Do you feel like that sometimes? But I was able to work through that. Now as a child, I didn't process it very well, but as an adult, I do. So I created a worksheet with some very simple steps to identify the triggers, the anxiety, and then to know how to work with it. I've created a hack sheet, that's a popular term now, to get you through those times of what's triggering you and how to react to it, or how to think about it differently so you can react differently. After tonight's broadcast, it will be available on my blog at toolsofenergyprotection.com. Look for Energy Shift Update 4/30/2019, and I will have it right there on the bottom, and you can help yourself, and it is free, and you just download it. I didn't even require that you put your email in. That's what they tell us. Get people's email and give them something, you know, that they might enjoy. I'm not asking for any emails. If you want to be on my emailing list, if that's something you'd like to have delivered, you can go to contact and scroll down, and there's a place to put your name in so that you can receive the emails if you like. So that's it. I would like for you to get that worksheet. Just download it. Just go to the website, download it. Give me probably about 15 minutes to get that posted up, and I'll post it up, and you can download it, and then go through the worksheet and see if you recognize any of the triggers. And then down below, I'm going to name the triggers and put the hacks so that you can begin to move forward and not look like one of those little dogs with all their hair sticking out just because there were some energy changes, so that you can move forward more peacefully. And if you're just starting out, this is a perfect exercise for you, and I know you'll find it helpful. After that, if you'd like to get together and chat so that I can see what else is going on for you, I would be more than happy to do that. Tomorrow, I'm going to be adding on my appointments a link for a small 20-minute consultation so that you can find a time that works for you. So huge hugs and kisses. Know that this is not an easy time for empaths or highly sensitive people. This is a time to grab onto that weight bar and do presses and to strengthen that relationship with God, Spirit, or Source. Pray, meditate, fast, however it is that you do it. You know, read the Bible, read something uplifting, but do something, because sitting on idle is going to get you nowhere. This is Deanna with toolsofenergyprotection.com. Big hugs and kisses to each one of you, and I'll see you here next week.